It's almost an end of the regular scheduled fixtures in the FOSROC Super6. But before we look ahead to the playoffs, we're taking a look back at some of this season's highlights. I'm delighted to be joined by Scottish Rugby Ambassador Chris Paterson and Super6 Tournament Director Stevie Gemmel. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Gav.
Thank you, Gav.
Yeah, we'll have a look back, won't we? Covered lots. It's come a long way. It was a long time in the making, but I've had a really good product so far. We spoke to some of the coaches, emailed the coaches, and asked them for some of their highlights.
And I guess we're a better place to start than the first game of the season, which was at Megaland. Drew in a huge crowd, and it was kind of a really great advert for Super6.
Yeah, as Chris said, took a while to get to this stage, but the whole evening was what we wanted it to be. It's tried to bridge that gap from the domestic game into the professional game. Great off-field experience and a great standard of rugby on the pitch.
Keeping with Boroughmuir, we picked out this try as one of their kind of highlights. It came at home again at Megaland against Watsonians. Chris, can you just kind of talk us through this one?
Yeah, this is a really good example of just an attacking structure that the players would have worked on coming to fruition. Everybody's working into position, some brilliant inter-handling skills and support play. Archie Russell feeding Cammy Gray for scoring in the corner, but it's a proper team try. And it takes a lot of time to build that up, moving from the left-hand side of the field to the right. There's dummy runners, Dan Winning, tight head prop, who got his first professional game for Edinburgh Rugby just recently at BT Murrayfield, giving that crucial link play. Cameron Atkinson, 6 foot, whatever he is, being a link player as well. So opening up the skills in a structure is what this try is all about.
So just moving on, looking at this one here from Stirling County, it's a very different try. This was kind of more about the discipline, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and Steve is right about playing in different conditions and preparing yourself to play in different conditions. You have to play different ways as well. This is a really good try by Stirling. It almost models a lot of what you see in the professional game, where you're identifying where the space is through your analysis through the week. So driving, winning the ball, driving really well in maul, keeping it stable, breaking off the maul at the right time, the ball back inside to Logan Trotter, hitting the space that will be identified at the side of the maul, and then the support play coming through. And I know we looked at a Boroughmuir team try. That's a team try in a different sense, but no less impressive.
And this game, I think at the time it was top against bottom, so I guess it kind of goes to show that really anybody can beat everyone, and the competition has been really open and competitive.
Yeah, I think on average over the first 9 rounds of matches, I think it's average points difference of 12 points. Yeah, there've been 1 or 2 outliers where towards the end of games teams have run away with it, but that's what we wanted when we set up the format, that anybody was capable of beating anybody, and we've seen that with Boroughmuir turning over our Heriots and Stirling winning games that ordinarily may not have happened when top was playing bottom. So we've got results that we wanted, and the league's certainly been competitive.
So moving on, we're going to take a look at the Ayrshire Bulls now, and this one was kind of this try was kind of mainly built on their strong defence at the start here.
Yeah, they've had a mixed season, Ayrshire Bulls. Didn't get off to a great start, losing the first game at home, but found some form. This was a game just before Christmas, and that's Ollie Smith, one of our FOSROC Academy players, intercepting and going 80 metres to turn and under 20 player to turn the game. And that was built in defence, real hard defence. Watsonians, the top team, pushing it near the line, and that's ultimately the score that won the game. So we spoke about more discipline, and having a strong defence can be an offensive weapon as well.
So looking now at Heriots Rugby, have had a very successful season so far, and this try kind of had a little bit of everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. They had Boroughmuir on the attack there, and then just unfortunately a poor pass that sort of got kicked forward, and very quickly Heriots, and they're renowned for that. They've always been like that as a club, even in the Premiership. Very quickly looking to turn that defence into attack. Great work rate from James Cooper, who's got across from the left wing to the right wing, and then just outstanding support play. That last pass coming in there to Alex Ball, replacement scrum half, to score under the post. It just shows you how quickly games can change.
So we're just going to look at this is actually going back to game 1, the Southern Knights against Watsonians, and I think the Southern Knights, they were quite unlucky at the start of the season. They had a few injuries to key players, but since the turn of the year they really have turned it on. Yeah,
they lost some of their early rounds very narrowly, and as you say, losing guys like Craig Jackson, Fraser Thompson at the start of the season just had a big influence on them, and I think they've grown into the tournament. They've probably faced some adversity, and I think they've reacted and responded well to that, and they've won the last 4 games in a row, and have put themselves in a position for the playoffs, which means that they'll be dangerous now.
And that was kind of like was a flavour of Watsonians, especially in the early rounds of the competitions. They were second half really turning it on and winning games narrowly due to their second half comebacks.
Really controlled and composed team, I'd say. Their building blocks are good. Lee Miller at number 10 is controlling the game very well with the possession they have. They've had to come back and win a couple of late ones, still on at home. I think at my side it was a real late charge to come back and win. So that points in the direction how much desire and heart they have. But I would say that the Wild Algies have been really efficient, controlled, and probably deservedly so at the top of the table so far.
We've got the final round of games coming up at the weekend, and Watsonians have Herets have got home advantage. They're in the position they want to be in. They'll say it's in their destiny to try and get that home semi-final, and I think getting a home semi-final will be crucial to the teams that are in that top four. Whoever gets that home semi-final will really fancy themselves to make it into that final weekend in the big game at Scotstoun.
So you mentioned the final, that one's live on BBC Scotland, 7:20 on the 28th of March. Regardless of who's in the final, how excited are they going to be for that occasion?
I think it's really important. I think the reason you play sport is to win, as far as I'm concerned. And I think going through the transition of preparing in a different way, performing in a different way, having the regular season, the playoffs, and then the culmination of a proper final is really kind of whets the appetite for all the players. It'll drive them on at the moment, it'll drive them on in the knockout phases, and it'll certainly drive them on when they come to the big match.
Stevie, Chris, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure chatting to you both.